place over a weekend, a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All 3 days there's a seminar portion. It's 5 hours. So it runs from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. as a seminar portion. And then on the Friday and Saturday nights, we actually go out and practice what we learned that day. Yeah, I'll go out with the students, with my clients, and we'll go out on the Friday and Saturday night from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. usually. In some cities, we'll go out later if the bars are open later. And go out and sort of practice what we learned that day. So I'll be actually out with them, watching them, making sure they're not making any mistakes, looking at their body language, looking at sort of, listening to what they're saying, and sort of being there to coach them for the whole night.
Is that not more nerve-wracking for them, though? I mean, not only are you trying to pick up a girl, but now you're being critiqued on it.
Yeah, it's not so much, I guess it was nerve-wracking in a way, but for most guys, that usually goes away after the first few, approaches. Mm-hmm. And they sort of get used to it. And for the most part, we're not out really to pick up women or anything. We just like to have fun. So, and I try to, I try to really stress that when we're out and get the guys into a better mood. Because for the most part, if you go out thinking, oh, I'm going out to pick up girls, let's go out and pick up girls, you're going to have this air about you that is probably going to turn people off. And you're going to look like the guys in the corner of the room, the wolves sort of eyeing the place out and looking for their next target and stuff. And that's not, I don't like to have that sort of vibe going on anyway. So when we go out, we just have fun. And having fun is actually conducive to meeting people. So it usually works out. So it seems like it would be maybe a stressful environment, having someone critique you and, almost like this sort of academic approach to it. But really, in reality, it's not. It's very sort of, I think it's fun. And, my clients seem to think it's fun too. So I don't think it's too stressful, at least, like I said, after the first few approaches.
So what's the goal for your clients at the end of the night? Is it a phone number? Is it a kiss? Is it going home with them?
It's different for everybody. I always try to, whatever the guys want as their sort of the goal. Like I always ask the guys when they first come in, what is your goal for the end of this weekend? And I can sort of help them in pretty much anything. So if it is getting phone numbers, well, they'll probably get that. If it's going home with a girl, that happens often enough. If that's what they're looking for too. Maybe it's just meeting nice people and getting a skill set where they can take home with them, where they're not scared anymore to strike up a conversation with a girl at a bar or wherever. So it's different for everybody, but I try to sort of make sure that I know what everyone's different goals are, so that I can make sure they reach those by the end of the weekend, and they usually do.
Now, I was on the lovesystems.com website, and I was looking at the training schedule and the boot camps and all that, and you guys have a lot of different types of seminars there. Mm-hmm. I noticed one called Same Night Lays.
Yeah.
Is that just exactly what it is, just teaching guys how to get laid multiple times in the same night?
It's more about sort of how to frame, and when you're talking to someone, how to frame an interaction for, I guess, what you'd like. It actually comes into honesty, like I mentioned earlier. So if you are looking for, a same night lay, as the name suggests, a lot of that, like that whole course is about sort of how to. It's not like tricking girls into sleeping on anything. For the most part, it's being honest with them and finding out, how to frame interaction as, look, this is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a relationship out of this. I'm not looking for anything really. I just want to have fun with you tonight, sort of thing. So yeah, that's sort of what that one kind of entails. So, sort of how to go about framing an interaction for those things. So
sort of finding the right girl, one that's down for that tonight.
Essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, is that like an alternate package when you're signing up with lovesystems.com? Does that cost more money than the original one?
The pricing, I think, is a little bit different depending on which course it is. Some of them are only a day, some of them are more involved. We have like a one specifically for meeting people in the daytime. So that one, I think, is maybe it's a couple days long, and that one actually also involves going out in the daytime with guys and practicing. Some of them are just seminars, day-long seminars. So yeah, they're all different based on what they're teaching.
You mentioned going out in the daytime. Is there like a different set of tactics you use for rather than at the club and when you're out at the park in the middle of the day?
Yeah, because in the daytime, I mean, if you're going to a club, women are expected to be hit on, right?
Right.
Whereas in the daytime, women aren't necessarily expected to be hit on. So there is a different approach. We sort of classify the way you would approach a girl in sort of two different ways. There's sort of indirect and there's direct. So indirect would be finding an excuse to talk to her that isn't you hitting on her would be an indirect way of talking, of approaching a girl. Whereas going direct would be sort of putting your cards on the table right up front. So in the daytime, for the most part, you're going to go direct because just by the nature that women can't really sit and talk to you for 10 minutes in the daytime because they're probably doing something. So for the daytime, for the most part, you're going to be going direct. You're going to be sort of going up to a girl and saying sort of similar to what I said earlier, where you just go up and say, listen, I don't know what it is about you, but I felt compelled to come over and talk to you. So I just, what's your name? And starting a conversation like that, as opposed to going up to her and, asking her who lies more or something, or whatever lines you see on the internet sometimes by these guys. So yeah, there's a different sort of style to it in the daytime.
Strippers and hired guns is another course I'm looking at there. First of all, what exactly is hired guns?
Yeah, that's funny because a lot of the guys I work with are American, and I guess like going in the States, it's really sort of popular, at least in some cities, to go and try to pick up strippers. From a Canadian perspective, it seems kind of weird because in Canada we don't really go to strip clubs to pick up girls, obviously, right? Like that's kind of terrible. So they're kind of bougie places. But in the States, it's a lot more appealing. So we have courses that sort of specialize in attracting strippers and hired, I should call them exotic dancers, but hired guns too, which those are sort of that's like the code term for just working girls.
Oh, okay.
Not like working girls like prostitutes, but like working girls like people that work like bartenders and waitresses and stuff like that.
Okay, so what set of rules are different when trying to pick up a stripper rather than a girl at the club?
Oh, I'm not really. There's a reason I don't teach those courses because I don't really have much experience picking up strippers, so I couldn't really give you too much. You'd have to sign up for the course.
Okay, I was just wondering what the difference was. But there's some difference. I mean, some of it is basically like not being a customer, obviously. There's little things you can do just because. If you're working in a strip club, if you're a girl working in a strip club, you're used to guys hitting on you all day long because that's your job, right? So obviously there's some different tactics you're going to employ if you actually want to attract her, and you're not going to probably be hitting on her the same way you talk to a girl in the bar, obviously. So there are some tactics. Again, I don't teach the course, so I can't really get into too many specifics, but there is a different sort of technique to it, yeah. Do you ever have any students or clients flunk out of the program and just cannot do it?
Like refuse? Or?
Well, it just doesn't work for them in some way, some form.
I'm sure it happens. For the most part, when guys sort of have that, like, I think one of my better strengths as a teacher is sort of riling up the courage in people to do the things that they're too scared to do. So I think that's sort of a skill set that I've sort of learned to do over the past 6 years teaching this stuff. But if guys sort of say like, and it does happen a lot where we'll go out and I'll say, okay, there's some girls over there, why don't you go try talking to them, and they'll just freeze up and they'll be too scared. And so for the most part, I think a big part of my job is dealing with that because that is something that does come up a lot. And the way I kind of explain it to guys is it's a lot like sort of the high dive at the pool, like you go to the high dive and you look up and you're like, oh my God, that's so high. But you climb up the ladder and you get up there and you look down and it's like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't do this. But you just sort of take a step and you just do it anyway. You just jump off. And by the time you land in the water, you sort of come back up and you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't even so bad at all. And then it's a lot easier to go and climb up that ladder again. And when you get up there, it's still a little bit scary, but not as scary as the first time. And then you jump off, and after a while, you're just having fun, and you can do it all day long. But then you don't go to the pool for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks later you come back, and that high dive looks just as scary as it was the first time. So it kind of never goes away. But you have to understand that you just have to know that once you go off there, it's never as scary as you think it is. And so, and for the most part, it's no one. Like, a lot of guys get scared because they think, she's going to know what I'm thinking, and she's going to know that. I'm scared and all this stuff, and no one says you have to go and sleep with her, All you have to do is start a conversation. There's nothing really that scary about that, And so, if they're too scared to do that, I may get them to go and, okay, well, just go up and ask those girls where the washroom is. Or go up and ask those girls, tell them your buddy's having a rough night and you want to know a good place to meet people, like where's a good place in town to meet people. So, and a lot of time they'll be like, oh, okay, well, I could do that. Well, it's like, well, that's really all I was asking you to do in the first place. So I think it just comes down to sort of how they look at at what they're doing. And if they're looking at it in the sense that they're thinking, oh God, I have to go over there and try to pick her up, well, of course they're going to be scared because they don't know how to do that. So it's sort of working with those sort of fears that come up. I think for everyone, there's even times in my life where that stuff happens to me, and I'm sure it's happened to you too. You see the gorgeous girl, and that your stomach just sort of sinks.
Yeah.
You want to talk to her, but you don't know what to say. So dealing with that, I think is that comes up a lot. But I've never had anyone that's actually just sort of, walked out.
Do you see like a huge change in the clients after the end of the 3-day weekend?
Oh yeah, it's that's like the best part of my job is sort of seeing how they've changed from the Friday to the Sunday. Because it's almost like, I equate it to seeing the Matrix. Where they sort of get this realization that it actually is a hell of a lot easier than they thought it was. Mm. And they almost like kick it. Like the thing I do the most actually on the Sunday is, oh man, I wish I had known this when I was 16 or when I was younger. And it doesn't matter how old they are. Sometimes I get 21-year-old guys. They're like, oh man, I wish I knew this when I was 16. And then sometimes you get 50 or 60-year-old guys saying the same thing. So it's seeing the change is like I said, one of the best parts of the job.
Do you ever run into like a client like 3 years later and see just completely different? Oh
yeah, it happens all the time. Especially, I just moved to Vancouver, so I don't have a large sort of client base here that I've already taught. But in Toronto, it happened all the time. I used to live in Toronto just last year, and I lived there I taught a lot of seminars there for 5 years. So I'd run into guys all the time. I had a couple that had gotten married that had met their wives from sort of using the stuff that I taught in my seminar, which is always a good feeling. We actually have a board at our office in LA. It is filled with people that have gotten married that have taken the seminar, and the board is filled. So there's a lot of good that comes from the stuff that like I said, really makes the job worth doing.
So for anyone listening who's thinking this might be something I'm interested in, tell them where to go and how to sign up.
Yeah, sure. Go to lovesystems.com, and you can sign up through the webpage. There's a listing on the bottom that we teach all over the world, so there should be a sitting near you no matter where you are. But I guess since this is probably only being broadcast in London, Ontario, the closest place would be probably Toronto. So we do. I'm teaching a seminar in Toronto on the weekend of the 21st, I think it is, this month. So it's in less than 2 weeks, and we go back to Toronto about every about 2 or 3 months. So if you can't make it to this one, we do them, like I said, every 2 or 3 months. So we should have another one probably up there in April.
Do you know what the...
lovesystems.com, and if you want to learn more about me, you can go to lovesystems.com/Cajun. It has a little bio and some videos and stuff there. And so, yeah.
Do you know what the typical price range is when they're signing up?
It's different depending on what course you want. If it's just a seminar, it's $29.50, so just under $3,000.
Okay.
Which is it's quite expensive, yeah. But I always sort of equate it to it is a supply and demand thing. So the reason why we charge a lot is because that's how much people are willing to pay, obviously. But it's also sort of one of those things where if you're going to spend thousands of dollars on clothes or a nice watch or a car, which honestly are probably all things you're really only doing to impress people. We offer something that can help you a lot more than that. Because it's significantly cheaper in the long run. So I think that's where the value comes. But yeah, $29.50 for the seminar. We offer different pricing for different things. So things like one-on-one, which like if you want to take a one-on-one lesson with me or another instructor, that has a different sort of pricing to it, as well as we do phone consultations. We're willing to sort of adapt to your price ranges depending on what you want. So we're fairly adaptable.
It's the real-life Hitch himself, Derek, a.k.a. Cajun. Thanks for joining me, buddy.
No problem, man. It's a lot of fun.
All right, have a good day.
You too. Take it easy.
Bye.